Hope you all are doing well. So today, we at SLL, a student-run venture which talks about the intersection of law, politics, and literature, is very delighted to carry forward in a discourse of intersection of politics, law, and personal experience with the work of people of the trans community. So today we have Grace Banu with us. Grace Banu is a Dalit and trans activist who is also first transgender person to be admitted to an engineering college in Tamil Nadu. She works in Delhi as a future technologist with Project Mukti and is also a founder and director of Trans Rights Now Collective. Grace writes extensively on the issue concerning trans community and authored a book, Thought of Trans Women, Grace Banu. She has recently filed a PIL seeking horizontal reservation for transgender community and intersex person in education and public employment in Tamil Nadu. So today we have Grace. How are you, Grace?
Okay, how are you?
I am good. So shall we begin with our interview?
Yeah, sure.
So yes. So I have a first question for you. Like, from where you did your schooling and how was your journey from school to engineering institution?
The journey is too long and too hard, super hard. So, I was born and brought up from Tuticorin district. So, in Tuticorin district, Pudur Pandyapuram is my native village. I have three brothers, one elder brother and two younger brothers. So I'm the second one. My family's background is completely yes. I'm from the Dalit community. So from my childhood onwards, I faced the caste discrimination. So all the people how the caste role in India. So
Yes.
caste is everywhere. Casteism, casteism is doing so many roles, so many places. So wherever I go, whatever I do, in front of me, my caste is there. So every day, so every day I'm facing two kind of discrimination. One is gender discrimination in the name of gender, another is in the name of caste. So my childhood, my schooling time also, I face this two kind of discrimination. Yeah, all the people knew, it's in the Wikipedia. So Wikipedia life. So that's true. Yes, uh, when I expressed my feeling, when I told my uh, changes to others, all other people did so many discrimination. It's like how do I say, the child who doesn't know about anything, caste, gender, society, patriarchy, political, all the kind of words that child doesn't know. But
from early age, like fighting from all these things. So like I have heard, like it's many people used to say that there is no existence of caste in trans community. So at what extent these things is true? Like after hearing your experience, I think there is an existence and there is a very big existence, like we all know. So what do you think about it?
So, okay, your question is correct, because every day I am facing this question. You know, all the people from the community, from the queer community, they are saying, oh, we don't have a caste, we don't have a religion, we don't have anything. We are, how do you say, we are individual people, we have all the rules to do our work. But from my point of view, yes, within the queer community, they are having caste, they are having discrimination, they are all having everything. Because
Like this
I
struggle
am from the
indeed
community, I am from the community, I am facing that oppression. The people who are oppressing me, they are only saying, oh, we don't have a caste, we don't have a religion, this kind of things. But I am facing that oppression. I am the oppressed people. I am the oppressed person. So I am facing all the kind of oppression. So I am saying, yes, caste is everywhere within the queer community, within the feminist movement, within the Dalit movement, within the larger level movements, whatever larger level movements are there, they are all having caste system.
So this is something like we say a selective activism. Like in even nowadays, if we see like people are putting hashtag Black Lives Matter is trending on the stories and feeds of a people who in their own country promote. So I have this question like nowadays people are putting on their stories and feeds hashtag Black Lives Matters, and we are currently talking about selective activism. And these are those people who in their own country promote transphobia, homophobia, casteism, fascism, and showing selective empathy towards a movement. So what's your take on this?
Yes. See, the Black Lives Matter, that's more important. That I agree, because the people from the Black community, they are facing so many discrimination their whole life. But at the same time, the casteism also there. Casteism also in all over the world. The people who are from the India or who belong from the India, there are no caste system. What is the caste system? So the thing is, we are from the marginalized community. We are facing our day-to-day life is super hard to manage every things. Yes, we have to fight with the within the queer community. We have to fight with people who have the privilege. We have to fight with the feminist circle. We have to fight with the Dalit movements. We have to fight with the uh, uh, patriarchy society. So we have to fight with the cis people. So every day we are fighting with this kind of people. So it's from my point of view, it's a super hard, because our whole life is going to fight.
It's struggle.
Where I go, where I live, where is my life? So this all it's completely horrible things we are facing day to day.
Yes, like this is like very problematic and ridiculous things. Like we should all look towards it as a collective. So
Yeah.
I have so most Dalit people are struggling, and with that, most trans people are involved in sex work and begging. But it isn't trans Dalit who is the ones in the lowest rung who beg and give. So according to you, how important it is to demand for reservation?
Yes, of course. See, the people, uh, uh, I have one question. Okay, the people from the India, the trans people from the India, how many people you know? The well-known persons, the well-known identity persons. Can you hear me, Naina?
Yes, quite a few.
Yeah.
There are like quite a few people.
Yeah, it's a very few.
Yes, yes.
Very few. And the few people are upper class, Savarna, privileged people.
Yes, yes. No doubt.
The people who are from the underprivileged background, who are from the marginalized community, it's very, very hard to occupy the mainstream spaces. A and B, yes, the people who are doing sex work, the people who are doing begging, there are say two kind of differential. The people from who have the how do I say, the brown color, or so inside that racism is there, because the people who have the white skin or brown skin, those people only involved to put into the sex work. The people who are having the dark skin and the how do I say, the from the rural area, so this kind of people are only put it into the baking. So broadly, the caste role is having more things, because the people who are doing baking mostly from the Dalit community.
Like people who say that the caste doesn't exist, I think that's so privileged of them to think about this.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So, like you have worked in Tamil Nadu with Living Smile Vidya on the issue of transgender reservation, and there are many instances where trans people have faced violence in school, educational institute, where they are discriminated on the basis of their identity. And many have faced discrimination on the basis of both caste and identity, and it's hard for them to deal with all these. So, what's your experience in engineering institution and how you dealt with this?
See, the institution, so many institution murders are happening.
Institutional murder, like
Yeah, it's happening only the caste. The people who are from the marginalized community, they are targeting and they are facing so many issues. And yes, as you know, you said, I am fighting for the reservation. The reservation means horizontal reservation. So within the trans community also, we are facing the caste discrimination. You know, the NALSA versus Union of India judgment says central government, the government of India should give the separate reservation for the trans community. But what they did, they are putting all the transgender to the MBC category or national level OBC category. So we are within the trans community, Dalit trans are there, OBC trans are there, BC trans are there, Adivasi trans are there. So it's not a social justice. It's completely injustice. You know,
like
the yeah, it's not a equality.
yes.
You should give proper things to the person who are asking the rights. So we for you hear me, Naina?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. Sorry, my internet is
Yes,
slow.
yes, like
I'm in my village, so that's why.
It's like same problem we are facing all everywhere, internet issues.
Yeah. So that the government put all the trans people to the MBC category. So I'm a Dalit, I'm a Adivasi. How do I access the MBC category reservation?
Yes.
So that's why
Like
you have to give the permanent solution, not a temporary solution. So the permanent solution is you should give the horizontal reservation, not a vertical reservation. So that's why I demand, yeah, we need separate reservation, the horizontal reservation for the trans community. So that's why I filed the PIL in the Madras High Court. That case is going on, and the same case we filed in the Supreme Court also. I think the coming 12th June, that case hearing is listed.
So let's hope for the best, like, because I think there is a need for representation also, like as Baba Saheb itself said that. So with that, like last year, transgender person bill was passed by government where a law has defeated its purpose. Like that it does not provide transgender and intersex person with positive rights and ignores the protection that is offered by Supreme Court in NALSA 2014. So what are your views on this?
See, the Trans Act, from the beginning, we are saying, still now also we are saying, we don't want that act, because that act doesn't provide anything. It won't give any rights to the community. It won't give any upliftment to the community. Definitely, I will say, that act will use for only the small, only the act having only the welfare schemes for the community. That's all, nothing. That act, that Trans Act doesn't have any rights. So it's a poisonous act. It's a horrible act. It's for kill the community. It's for how do I say? A lot of discrimination. So many issues will happen after that act pass. You know, in that act, for example, I want to quote one thing. In this act saying, if you're transgender person, cis people, the maximum punishment is 2 years.
That's very discriminatory in itself.
Yeah.
So, like with that, let's move to a next question. So, like I was reading about this and doing a research on everything. So while doing this, I came across the thing that there are many problems transgender people have came across. So one among them is housing. Like still people in the society are reluctant to give shelter or house on rent to the trans people. So have you faced any instance like this? And if you're comfortable to share, then it's okay. And what do you think that can be done to resolve this problem?
See, the thing is, all the trans people are mostly they are living in the rental house. So the housing issues are still happening because, for example, my house. Okay, so I'm in the rental house. My house owner is a Prakash Savarna. They are cis people. They don't know about anything for the anything about the trans community, but they are asking money with the double amount of money, the rent, double amount of rent compared with others. From this pandemic time also, you know, this pandemic time, we don't have any resources. We are staying inside the home. We don't have any resources. But all the house owners are asking rented. This 3 months rent. What we are doing? What we do? We don't have anything. What they are saying, no, that is the power. They are saying that is landlord power. They are saying no. If you rent, otherwise you can vacate my house. That's it. Other than they didn't say anything. So day by day, we are facing so many discrimination. Now also, the pandemic time, we are it's like a, we don't have any resources. All the people are the people from we have a begging trans, we have the sex or trans, but now we don't do anything because all the cities are locked down. Most of the village trans are doing folk dance, but now that the traditional functions are not allowed. So their livelihood is stopped. The people who are affected by the HIV infected trans, they are facing so many discrimination. For example, recently that Maharashtra issue, I think you know, the in Maharashtra, one trans woman who didn't get any proper medicine, who didn't get a proper nutrition food, he committed suicide. But I'm saying it's not a suicide, it's a murder.
Murder, yes, it's a murder.
Murder. The state did the murder.
And that's how we discussed about institutional murder. Like,
yes,
all these are planned, and society somehow gave it the name of some other things. Like, they don't recognize it as a murder and fight against it. And even with that, I also think that government is not doing enough for the community itself. Like, nobody is recognizing this fact or taking this further. Like, the community, there is a community which is suffering from this, and there is a negative effect of pandemic on them also.
of course.
So, like, being an engineer, according to you, how technology can help in uplifting the community, like through the mediums like Instagram, Twitter,
Technology platform,
Facebook. When on the other side, these platforms are creating transphobic, homophobic, and casteist environment in the society.
Yes, yes. See, technology also have the caste and privilege.
Yes, yes, I agree with this.
So internet is not internet. So all the people are saying internet is for everyone, everybody. But internet it's not for everybody. Internet have a caste. Internet have a transphobic. Internet have a homophobic. Internet have Islamophobic. Internet have racism. Internet have fat phobia.
Like, somehow it is itself. So I was asking, like, how people should use their privilege to voice for the people who are voiceless. Like, if you are privileged, you should understand your privilege and speak
Yes.
for the people and amplify their
of
voice.
course. See, I know the technology platform. So I am using that platform for my community liberation, for educating the people. I'm using all the platform to educate the people. So I'm the technology platform have all the phobic things, but we have the space to educate the people surrounding me. So that's very important. From me, my voice is here from the technology platform only. Otherwise, people doesn't know about me. My history also in future, my history also to be erased by some upper caste, Savarna, privileged people. So that's why I plan, okay, we have to write our histories because we have so many years histories. So
Yes.
that's why I am using this platform, all the technology platform.
So, like, I think this is a strong message for everyone who will see this interview, to use this technology platform to be a voice of a person who cannot raise for themselves, to amplify their voice and understand their privileges. So with
Yes.
this, I have a question. After the decriminalization, of Section 377, a legal recognition is provided. But don't you think that legal recognition is not enough with this movement? And it is necessary to dig deep and understand what substantive equality is and how crucial it is to move forward in the world with a sense of freedom and liberty and liberation. And how do you think that we can bring revolutionary understanding in a country like India, which is a mix of inequalities?
See, yes, the after 377, it's recognized by the Supreme Court, but that 377 is one of it's a part of my life. It's not it's not giving any revolution, any liberation to the community. You know, it's a part of my life. It's a part of a trans person, because once upon a time we are criminalized by the law. Now that is going to the decriminalized, but that day-to-day discrimination I am facing, it's happening still now. It's not reduced after that 377 now. So no, every trans person, they are doing their work, they are facing their discrimination, they are facing their oppression. It doesn't give any changes. So from my point of view, 377 also, a person who are privileged, those people only fight with the 377. Because why I'm saying this, the people who are from the Adivasi, the people who are from the Dalit community, the people who are from the rural areas, they don't know about 377. They don't know about the Constitution of India. Do you think all the people know about the 377? Why they are criminalized by the Constitution? No.
People still have a privilege to understand this.
Yes. So the people who have the privilege, those people only know about the 377. And they are having their own circle. Within their circle only discussion about the 377. We should go to the rural area. We should educate the Adivasi community. We should educate the Dalit community. We should educate the people who are from the marginalized people. So that is our roles and responsibility.
This is what Baba Sahib said: educate, agitate, organize.
Yes, of course.
So with this, there is a last question. What is your constant source of motivation that you use as a weapon to fight further? And what message would you like to give to the young generation?
As you said, educate, agitate, organize. Dignity, liberty, equality. So,
thank you, great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us and giving us, if there is any further message you would like to carry on, please do. It would be a pleasure.